Live streams almost didn't happen today. Miss Edie has had a rough couple days. I'm starting to feel better. It's funny because I thought I knew what I was going to talk about, and I'm like, no, I think I'm just going to talk about what's going on, and maybe it can help you and encourage you. So, good to see you today. Thank you for being here, you guys. And thank you for just in general being so amazing and encouraging. I posted an Instagram post this morning with some raw, vulnerable stuff, and y'all are just the best. I actually, it's funny because I'd already had my emotions. And then as your comments and messages and private messages came in, I just spent most of the morning crying. So thank you for that. I want to talk today about how to feel better, mostly for myself, mostly so I can remind myself how to feel better. So I don't know if you have anything going on. I don't even think you have to have anything going on to need this today, because we live in such a crazy world that I think we all can use it. So I'm going to talk about the 3 ways to feel better, and it can kind of apply no matter what your situation, no matter why you feel bad, or if you don't even know why you feel bad, you just woke up and you're like, ugh. How many of you woke up like that? Or maybe you have a really good reason to just feel crummy. So we're going to talk about it today because I do think it's important. And, you know, I happen to be a physician, counselor, life coach who helps people feel better. This is what I do for my job. And yet I am not a pro at it either. And I need lots of practice at it too. So I figured, hey, I'll just go through the steps that I use when I need to get myself kind of out of a funk. So here's my situation. So today is my 20th wedding anniversary. So let's start there. And I started thinking about my 20th wedding anniversary last summer. And the first idea that I had was that Stevie and I would go to the Alps and hike in the mountains and stay at there's this little, it's almost like a tour or a planned hike, you know, where they'll take you, take your big backpack and then you stay at these quaint little places. So that was my first idea. I had a lot of ideas since then about where I wanted to be today. And nowhere in any of my plans was at home, working, wrestling with a 7-year-old over another golf cart breakage, and crying my eyes out all morning. That was not in my plans. And as the day grew closer, and of course there's COVID, we had a trip planned to Greece and that got canceled. And then I had all these other ideas. Well, Utah's kind of open. Maybe we'll fly to Utah and go hiking. Just nothing worked out. Let me just say that. And as the day got closer, have you ever done this when you're like, have this that you're going to do something, or it's like a big day or whatever. So then when I realized that I was going to be disappointed, I started going, anniversaries don't matter, whatever. Like, you know, you almost start getting in this like reverse, like you're in kind of this weird denial. And I'm like, I'm just not even going to acknowledge it. It's fine. Like, whatever. I got in this weird like toddler headspace where, well, I'll just punish everybody since I can't have an anniversary. Or, well, I'm just going to go somewhere by myself. How many of you have ever, can you admit to me, if you've ever been guilty of having a toddler moment when your best laid plans did not work out? So that's what I did. And then to top it off, last night we had a terrible night. Tom Tom left the paddleboard out, and he left the paddleboard out, and then it floated way over, and then we took him down there late last night to try to get it while we could still have some daylight, and it took us 45 minutes and a lot of negotiation and a lot of tears. He finally swam over there to get it, and on the way back, the paddle flipped up and hit him right in the mouth, and so his mouth started bleeding. He started crying. He fell off the paddleboard. Like, he was like 5 feet from me. He's sobbing in the water. We were like angry but sad. But have you ever maybe it's only me that has these incredibly tense, bad life moments. And y'all are so sweet. You're like, happy anniversary. Thank you. And so I finally just had to like literally pull him out of the water. He's sobbing. You know this situation with one of your kids where you're angry at them and then they get hurt, and then you're mad because now you can't be angry. Now you have to console them because they're hurt. And so I wrap him up, and and then of course as he's sobbing, I feel terrible, and I get him upstairs. We go up, and I'm like, buddy, we'll watch a movie. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. So he finds this movie, and it's so funny because I'd never heard of this movie before, but he said he had watched it before with his mom before she died, and which makes it all the more even heart-wrenching. And so we're watching this movie called Meet the Robinsons. And at first I was like halfway watching it, and then I realized, like, the more I realized what it was about, I'm like, can't take my eyes off of it. And so it's about this little boy who's adopted, who wants to find his real parents. And I can't even tell you. You'll just have to go read my Instagram post because I don't want to cry. And it was just the most heart-wrenching. And Tom Tom kept, like, he just kept holding my hand, and and we finally finished the movie. I let him stay up too late. We finally finished the movie, and he drifts off to sleep. And now, of course, I can't sleep, and I'm just patting his head and praying over him. And it literally felt like so much heartache between the two of us. And then I realized why God didn't let me go on a trip. Because this marriage that I've built with Stevie is not necessarily for us. It's for our kids. It's for Tom. So I woke up really heavy-hearted this morning, but also really, really thankful for marriage and for marriages, and specifically for my marriage that has become a soft place to land for a little boy. This video is supposed to be about how to feel better. Apparently, I need it more than anybody. So, I really, really struggled this whole morning. And then, of course, in true Tom Tom fashion, he goes and wrecks the golf cart. And then he gets really mad at me because he wrecked the golf cart. And it's just been one of those days. But as I was thinking about how, like, brokenhearted I felt last night, and how heavy, and how burdened for our world, that, you know, people need a soft place to land, and it made me so, so grateful to have faith, to know Christ. It made me so, so grateful for my family, for my marriage, for this very imperfect place that we have created for our kids. And so I tell you that story, hopefully to encourage you, not to make you bawl. Some of you are like, oh my gosh. But I tell you that story because this weekend, we had such a fun weekend, and, you know, everybody, you know, sees the highlight reel of our lives, and it's so easy to think, well, I would feel better if I had her life. You know, I would feel better if, and fill in the blank. If I had more money, I would feel better if I had a new car, if I lived on the lake, if I had a boat, if I had a whatever. And the truth of the matter is, life is really so much the same for all of us. It's beautiful, it's brutal, it's amazing, it's heartbreaking. And I do really believe that the irony of it is this. The more we allow our expectations, and the more we allow our comparison of other people to dominate our minds. I spent so much time thinking of what I wanted this week to look like that I couldn't just enjoy the amazingness of the actual thing, right? And that is what we do. That is what we all do. We have so many expectations of other people. We have so many expectations of special times or special dates. Stevie has said this to me so many times, and I know this is true. He's like, every day to me is like our anniversary. Every day to me feels like I won the lottery. And it doesn't have to be, you know, we had a great coffee cruise by ourselves this weekend on the boat, and I was thinking, oh, this is so precious. But then, you know, that can all be stolen away because we have these weird expectations, or because we, you know, want things to be perfect or whatever. And so to make this something that helps you and not just a cry fest for me, here's what I want to say. I really do think that, number one, we have to really be honest with ourselves about where we are, because we make ourselves miserable when we think that life should be easy, when we think that anniversaries should be magical, spent in the Alps somewhere hiking without a care in the world. We make ourselves miserable when we think that it should be anything but what it is, when it should be anything except a heartbreaking night with a boy whose grief is heavy. That's what it should be. But we think it shouldn't be. And we think that, you know, it should be easier, that it should be shinier or glossier, anything except for what it is. And the truth of the matter is, this is how it should be. This is what anniversaries look like. This is what love looks like. And to be able to just let it be that, let it be hard, let it be terrifying, let it be difficult, then we have so much less pain, because then we only have the pain of the thing, but not the pain of all the expectations or the pain of the comparison, right? So I just basically spent the morning just letting it be painful and hard, and literally at the same time, like, just loving on my boy. And that awareness of where we are and that thankfulness, it reminds me of the book that I've now read, I think 3 times, called Loving What Is. Not loving what should have been or what you think should have been or whatever, but actually learning to love what is. So hard and so freeing, because this is what is. And so that's what I'm learning, to love what is, and to stop with all the expectations and stop with all the comparisons and just be where I am and love what is. The second thing is to allow, it's funny that this is the second thing. Second thing is to allow the emotion that you have to be there. Because here's where we get into so much trouble. This is why we overeat and why we overspend and why we overdrink and why we over Facebook and why we get in political fights on the internet. You know why we do that? Because we can't be with the emotions we have. We're trying to find anything externally to make us feel better. It's also, I hate to say this, it's also why I feel like 30% of people are on medication, which is a travesty, because we have been fed this lie that we should be happy all the time, or that, you know, we shouldn't have heartache, or things should be easier. No, it's half the time sucks, and it's half the time hard, and being willing to allow ourselves to have a morning like I had this morning. I just so wanted to run away. Like, I kept thinking, I'm just going to ditch all my work today. I could have, and I'm just going to run away somewhere, but where? From what? Right? From feeling this sadness? Because this sadness, if we allow it, is so transformative. And the work, here's the thing, you guys. Are we willing to let the pain do its work on our hearts? Are we willing to sit with it and be with it instead of trying to just get rid of it, feel differently, feel better? I mean, this video is called How to Feel Better, but what I'm trying to tell you is how to feel better starts with feeling how you feel and actually allowing it to be there. Because when you stop running from it and you stop medicating it and you stop buffering it and you stop eating it and you just allow it to be there, it is like a rototiller that tills up your heart and makes you tender and makes you humble and keeps you grounded and helps you live from the space that we all need to be living. So, allowing it to be what it is. And the third thing is to take responsibility. This is going to sound weird, but to take responsibility for it. So, you feel the way you feel because you choose it. So, the reason I feel heartbroken this morning is because I want to feel heartbroken, because I want to feel the pain of a little boy who's still processing unimaginable loss, and I want to feel it. Now, I also am an eternal optimist, and I love generating positive emotion. And by this afternoon, I promise you, I will be better. I will have worked through it. It will have done its work, and I'll feel joy again. And I know how to generate positive emotion in my life, and I know how to generate the emotion that allows me to love and serve and create and all of that. And I will get there. That will probably be later today or tomorrow. But when we take responsibility for how we feel, because here's what I was tempted to do. I had this brief thought that, well, Stevie should have done something to make this day different. Like, he could have. I mean, I know it would have been hard, but he could have done something. He could have surprised me. He could have whatever. So I try to blame him. I try to blame Tom. He's just so hard. Oh my gosh. I try to blame that. I try to blame COVID because we can't travel. I try to blame everything instead of taking responsibility for it myself. I feel bad today because I choose to feel it, and I'm good with that. And I also know how to generate the positive emotion in my life that makes me feel better, and it all comes from the thoughts that we think. So I want you to think about your own life. I allowed myself this whole morning to feel this way. I really did. And I did it consciously. I'm like, I know that I could feel better if I decided to just practice different thoughts. But I want to feel this right now. And so I did. I'm getting close to deciding, like, yeah, this is like, I can't, you can't cry your whole life. So what do I want to think? How do I want to feel about my family and Stevie and Thomas? Here's what I do, and I don't know if this helps you, but I imagine myself as like a warrior mama. And what will rise up in me, later today probably is just this like, oh, you're not gonna get me down. Oh, you can try, but Mama Bear is here to stay, and I love my family, and I'm not gonna stay stuck in this place of, oh my gosh, feel sorry for myself or whatever, right? No, I am going to take charge of this, and I'm going to take charge of how I think and how I feel and how I want to show up for the people in my life. And I'm going to warrior mom like crazy. So somebody told me warrior princess. I like that. A warrior princess. But I share all that with you because I feel like the heaviness of the past, 4 or 5 months is just weighing on us. Like there's part of me that knows that what happened for me last night and this morning is like a culmination of a lot of stuff too. And I, although I want to give it its due and I want to let it do its work in me, I want to let it rototill my heart right up. I also know that in order for it all to have been worth it, I have got to decide who I am and whose I am and how I want to show up and how I want to think about my life and how I want to think about this boy that God has given us. So watch out, world, when all of us warrior mamas, after we have our moment, when we rise up. I already feel better. I already feel better because first of all, I didn't resist it. I just let it. I literally have cried all morning. I just let it be. I just let the tears come. They keep wanting to come. Let it come. Let them keep coming. And that cleansing from that and feeling that, I just feel so much better. I don't feel like there's, like a chokehold around my neck, like there's, a weight on my chest. And I promise you that if you do the same thing, you'll feel better too. So become aware of how you feel and why. Be honest with yourself and decide, do I want to feel this way? I chose that I wanted to feel this way. I wanted to feel the grief. I wanted to process through it. And then I did. I allowed the emotion. And then decide from there. Like, this is my responsibility. I don't feel one emotion that I don't choose to feel. And so be careful where you let those thoughts go. Be careful which thoughts you decide at the end of all of that you want to practice and you want to believe and you want to, because those thoughts, that's why the scriptures say, take every thought captive. Those thoughts will become your life. So they're important. And I just am so grateful that over the years I've learned to do that instead of to just avoid it, resist it, medicate it, whatever we do to get rid of it. It needs to do its work in us. And it's good work. It's good, hard, worthwhile work. Thank you for all your Instagram messages. I love you. I'm so grateful to be here. Grateful to be here on my anniversary, sharing with you how God is working in our family. So be blessed. Have a great week, and I will see you soon.